This is Up for Debate, episode number 262, recorded September 21st, 2023. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Up for Debate. I'd call it our Cherry Coke Summer, but it's really more of a Cherry Coke September. I'm Sean Jennings, joined by a man who would gladly replace the Yukon Mail Service with Telegraph. It's Matt Mariani. Hello, Matt.
That's right. I would gladly replace any mail service with telegraph. Morse
Yep.
code, dying art. Absolutely dying art. Would you, if you were offered the chance, Sean, would you rather learn Morse code, have to lead a team of wild or tamed / feral dogs through the snow to deliver mail, or drink 100 cans of cherry Coke?
How much time would I have to drink the 100 cans? Or it would just have to be constant one after the other. I don't think I could consume that much liquid in a single sitting.
We'll say, how long did Harrison Ford actually have in this movie? Because it was one other one where he was.
I was about to say the 3 days he spent on a green screen to shoot this film.
Yeah, it was another one where he was kind of in and out. He mostly narrates this one, but
yeah.
Our movie, our Ford Summer of Ford continues, and for the grand finale, and what better way to send off our hero Harrison Ford, the subject of the Summer of Ford tribute to Harrison Ford, the Cherry Coke Summer. We chose The Call of the Wild.
I'm mad.
Call
I'm mad,
of the Wild.
Matt.
This is this was the finale.
We blew it this summer.
This
we blew it so hard.
We did not watch The Fugitive. We did not watch Air Force One.
I mean, Matt, even before we got on the air, I was on YouTube watching the trailers to all the mid-2000s crap he made. Like, he made a bunch of bombs in a row, and those looked way more entertaining
than
the films we watched.
This was the one we landed on, 2020's Call of the Wild. 2020, Sean. I definitely did not think this was 2020, a 2020 movie. I don't know. As I was watching it, I would have guessed like early 2010s. Like, for some reason 2013 kept sticking out in my head. I was like, oh, this came out in 2013. Not 2020. This was a pandemic film.
Well, actually, it's funny because the history behind the release was it was originally supposed to come out in December 2019. So this was all shot before the pandemic, but it was pushed into February of 2020 to accommodate the releases of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, and of course everyone's favorite animated film, Spies in Disguise.
Right. Spies in Disguise. That was the when Will Ferrell becomes a pigeon, right?
Will Smith.
Will Smith, sorry. Will's very different.
I'd
Will
probably
Smith
be better
becomes a
with
pigeon.
Will Ferrell, to be honest. But yes, he does become a pigeon.
Will Smith, yeah. Folks at home, I'm getting over a little bit of a cold, so I've got a little bit of a foggy brain. Not COVID, so it's not COVID brain, but it's pretty close. It's kids got me sick kind of brain. So you'll have to forgive me for the fog that I have over this episode. This movie casts a bit of a fog itself, though. A fog that's rendered by bad CG, a bad computer generated fog.
Matt, can if we're going to dive right in, can I give a controversial opinion?
Only if I can give a controversial opinion. That might be more controversial than yours, but go ahead.
Okay, I'll go first then. But let me start by saying this movie sucked, and I hated it, and I didn't enjoy watching any of it, and it made me sad. But I actually don't think the CGI was that bad. I actually think the effects for a movie that was 90% effects actually looked decent. Doesn't mean I liked it. Doesn't mean it was good. But I will challenge the idea that the effects were bad. I don't think they were bad. I think there were too many of them. I think the CGI dog made it look like a cartoon. But I don't think the quality of. I was actually surprised at how decent the quality was.
Sean, you want to know what my controversial opinion about this film
What's
is?
your controversial opinion?
I liked it. I
Oh,
weirdly,
come
I weirdly
oh.
like this movie. I
But you know why? I know exactly why, Matt. I know
Why is that?
exactly why you like it. Because you are the only person on earth this film was made for. And this is a true realization I came to watching it. Because I said, who is this movie for? Is it for kids? No, the dog doesn't talk. It's not particularly funny. It's got guns in it. Like, I don't really think it's for kids. I'm like, well, is it for adults? No, because it is a little too cutesy and there is too much CGI. And then I'm like, so who is it for? And I realized, Matt, this is the first film ever created specifically for teachers to show in class. That's the only reason
Uh,
this exists. It's based on a famous book, so you can
uh-huh.
arguably show it, but it is decent looking enough and interesting enough and modern enough that students won't hate it. Matt, you're a teacher. You loved Call of the Wild. It
I
makes
did.
perfect sense.
I would it shock you that I never actually read the book though?
No, it doesn't shock me. I don't think it's I never read the book. I don't think it's as common a school read as it once was.
Not anymore. I think when we were kids though, I think it was I remember other kids reading it, and I remember it being in like every school library, and I remember it being at
Sure.
every scholastic book fair. Um Pretty much, but I don't think I ever read it. And I was a pretty avid reader growing up. Still am, but I read a lot. I just don't remember reading this one. I don't think I ever it ever crossed my mind to read this book, but I liked the movie because I like the shots of Alaska. I mean, the teacher thing might apply too. Maybe it is because it's a very easy movie to show in class, but um I liked the the long standing shots, the wide frames, and all of the like picturesque shots of Alaska. If you just gave like maybe I would just like nature documentary about Alaska. Maybe that's what I kind of felt like I was watching anyway, narrated by Harrison Ford. That was kind
Well,
of like Harrison Ford reads poetry while I look at shots of Alaska. Because the parts I didn't like were any parts involving the dog. Because the
which is the
crappily
whole movie.
animated CG dog. Yeah. Um,
Now, Matt, are you familiar? So this might actually lean into what you're talking. Are you familiar with the director of this film, Chris Sanders?
I am not. I am not really familiar with him, but I'm reading his bio right now.
Yeah, this is his first ever, if you want to call it live action film. He actually is an animation guy. He
Hmm.
directed Lilo and Stitch, a very well animated film. How to Train Your Dragon, which I think is an excellent film. The Croods, which I've never seen, and then this is his fourth directing um, debut. And so I agree with you. I think the scenery and the visuals, I think, look good due to that animation background. The man knows how to set up a shot, especially working with a blank canvas like you can in an all CGI film. I do give him a lot of credit for that. I think that background helps inform that.
Yeah. Yeah. This was yeah. He directed. It says he directed Aladdin, or he worked on Aladdin or
Um,
something.
he
Beauty and the
worked.
Beast.
Yeah, he had worked. He
Yeah.
worked on Mulan. He had a
Okay.
story by credit there. So he had
Right.
been in the Disney family for a while.
Yeah. He did a little bit of voice acting too.
He is the voice of Stitch.
Yes. Yep.
Interestingly
See
enough.
that there. Yeah. So he did some. Yeah. Um. Was there? So was there like a specific reason that they made the dog CG? Like, did they originally have a dog in mind, and then they were like, with all the stunts it's going to do, it's probably better if we animate it. That's kind of what that was my thought. That was just going out throughout the whole movie because I was like, this would look much better if it was a real dog. But they make him do a lot of things that I don't think a real dog would be able to do unless with like they had like a lot of training and editing.
Yeah, I think this film would
Camera edit.
cost $1 bazillion if you used a
Yeah.
real dog. I just don't know how you can have a film this
Hmm.
dog dependent, and use a real dog,
Yeah.
especially with all the action and all of that.
So I will, Sean, I will give you a cherry Coke on me, since this is cherry Coke summer. If without looking at the Wikipedia, so close the Wikipedia, close your
I'm
browser.
looking at you. I'm not looking at it.
I will give you a cherry Coke if you can, the next time we meet, if you can name Harrison Ford's character in this movie.
Oh no! Well, the dog is Buck.
They say his
What
name a
is
lot, but they Harrison
they
Ford.
do?
I didn't know how to name.
Well,
He would
it's
just
challenging
narrate it.
because he. I would say, excluding his narration, his in-person work, 80% of it is with a dog that can't talk. So nobody says his name. It would not surprise me if it's not said in the whole movie. Um,
If they say it at all, it might have been like when he's first introduced, like offhandedly, somebody like says it, like he's getting like letters, there's like mail call, and maybe he like they say his name, but his name is John Thornton.
that's you could have made up anything and I
John
would have believed you.
Thornton, an experienced frontiersman and Buck's fourth master. That's right, fourth. Bradley Whitford was in this movie.
Yes, he was. He
Judge
was
Miller, yeah,
the judge at the beginning.
that's
Yeah, he
right.
was great.
Okay,
We're big fans on the show.
we are,
Friend
we
of the
are.
pod.
Um, and no one else that I've heard of. But as far as other actors go, I think yeah,
There is an actor
not
assigned to the dog, which is strange because the dog doesn't talk.
yeah, Terry
So,
Notary.
oh, he was the mocap performer for Buck.
Oh, okay,
Oh my god, he has a huge career in mocap. He's played everything.
yeah,
He
yes.
played King Kong in Kong Skull Island.
Mm-hmm. Storied
Look at
career.
that. Uh, yeah, Matt. I will say, and I kind of hinted at this at the beginning of the show. This was Cherry Coke summer. This was the summer of Harrison Ford, and we watched, just to recap, American Graffiti, a film you could argue he's barely in. We then watched The Frisco Kid, a film he's in, but really a secondary character.
Very much
I would not say he
outside. Yeah,
stars in that
I
film.
mean, Gene
Then
Wilder
we
kind of
watched
takes that. Yep.
Blade Runner, a film he technically stars in, but is certainly overwhelmed by the setting and plot of the story. We watched Patriot Game. I'll give credit. He does star in that film. And then we watched Call of the Wild, a film you don't see him in an actual. You get a glimpse earlier, but you don't actually see him in a speaking role interacting with characters until 45 minutes into the movie, Matt.
Yes, I think there's one.
I'm starting to.
We see him, I think, very briefly. I want to say like 15 or
Yeah,
so
there's the
minutes
harmonica.
in.
He drops his harmonica, and the dog brings it to him. It's pretty brief.
Yes, very brief. And then we don't see him again, like you said, 45 minutes later. And then even then, he kind of shows up very sparingly. Most of his speaking roles certainly are narrated over the film, over the other events of the film. So yeah, I guess it's in summary, where our picks for this Cherry Coke summer were flat.
Yeah,
um,
yeah, no kidding. We
we're
we blew
flattened,
it. But I
but
will ask you, Matt.
yeah,
That being said, him and his limited work on this film, what did you think of Harrison Ford in The Call of the Wild?
like I said before, I enjoyed him. I thought this was, of all the movies we watched this summer, to me, this seemed like Harrison Ford had the most fun filming this movie. I could be wrong, but other than maybe no, because American Graffiti, I didn't get the sense that he was having a lot of fun. It was still like early in his career, and he kind of was in the movie haphazardly. I don't know. I get the sense that he had the most fun in this one because he got to be his truest self. He got to be a recluse that lives in the woods, and I think that's all Harrison Ford has ever wanted to be. Um, but he accidentally got famous, and you know, I think he's always been trying to get back to that place in the woods where he can just be his best self at one with nature. And in this movie he gets to do that. He gets to be a mountain man and have a dog who's his best friend, and not really get to interact with people that much. And when he does interact with people, he gets to play cards and rough them up a little bit, right? That's what, and he gets to show his like skills in being like a survivalist, where he pries that sled out of the snow. So I think he had the most fun with this one. He definitely, even though he was only acting with, I guess, a mocap person this whole time, he got to hang out in Alaska and drink whiskey, and I think that's all he ever wanted to do.
Well, this is a really interesting time for Ford's career. He obviously in the 90s, when we last visited him, had quite a successful stretch of action thrillers, a few romantic comedies in there. But as he's entered the 2000s, he starred in such bombs as Hollywood Homicide with Josh Hartnett, Crossing Over, Extraordinary Measures with Brendan Fraser, a film that barely exists, the romantic comedy with Morning Glory, even Cowboys and Aliens, which technically made money, was considered sort of a critical flop. Paranoia in 2013, that doesn't really exist. Ender's Game, which was a huge bomb. So, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, if you want to throw that in there. So, the first decade of the 2000s was very tough for his career, and you notice he starts to pivot into franchises. Expendables 3, Star Wars Force Awakens, Blade Runner 2049, Rise of Skywalker. And then this film's kind of interesting because he does this, obviously not a franchise, and then he follows it up with Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and his next film will be Captain America Brave New World, in which he plays Thaddeus Ross. So I'm curious that if this ends up being his only sort of standalone film, and this was a bomb, this was not successful, partly due to COVID, partly due to, I don't know, maybe just nobody wanted to watch it. If this remains kind of his last solo film for a while, if he just leans into these franchises later in his career.
Yeah, it is interesting that you brought that up. Um, I mean, we'll have to see. But yeah, this is very very much an outlier for him in all of his a lot of his previous films tied into big, like you said, successful franchises. This is kind of a standalone thing. Um, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when he got pitched to be in this movie.
Listen, if I'm Harrison Ford, it's a slam dunk, right?
Right.
You're the name on the poster because the movie stars a CGI dog, so you're the biggest star, really. So your name's on the poster, your face is huge on the poster. You get paid a bunch of money. You only have to shoot it in a green screen studio in California, so you don't have to go anywhere. You're only in less than half of the movie, so you don't even have to do that much work. Like, this must have been a dream job.
Yes. That's what I mean. Is I think he would have been like, just, yeah, just absolutely beside himself to take this on. Um, I was just reading here that this actually was nominated for a Raspy, Sean. Do you know which one?
Yes.
2021 Raspy. It was nominated for worst screen combo for Harrison Ford and that fake-looking CGI dog. Dog in quotes.
I actually looked at the list of everyone who won that award
Oh
over
yeah.
the years. And it's very funny because it used to be like two people. So it's like 1999, Kevin Kline and Will Smith in Wild Wild West, or Dennis Rodman and Jean-Claude Van Damme in Double Team. But as you get into the more modern eras, then they start to do these jokes where it's like any two obnoxious emojis in the Emoji Movie win. or any two half feline, half human hairballs in Cats, or the most recent winner, Tom Hanks and his latex laden face in Elvis.
Ooh, they count that as a on-screen duo.
I guess some of
Combo.
these are
Yeah, it's a
LeBron
combo.
James and any Warner cartoon character he dribbles on in Space Jam: A New Legacy. I
They
don't
got
know.
kind of
It's a
lazy
little
with it.
much.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. What do you what parts of this movie really stand out for you? Were there any parts that stood out?
Yes, yes. I can. Would you like to know my favorite thing about this film?
I would.
It was the one thing I walked away and say, "God, that was great."
All right, let's hear
The
it.
score.
Yeah. No, I'll agree. It was a very good
They
score.
used
Yeah.
a 90-piece orchestra and a 60-voice choir for the score, and it is fantastic. Like
Mhm.
I do miss that in movies, and it's got a mix of that sort of dynamic action score, but it's all real instruments. And I was basically jamming out to it. I thought it was really, really fan. I was like, wow, this is like really good.
Yeah. It is well, it's a well-scored movie. Um John Powell does the composing.
Academy Award nominee.
Yeah. He also did How to Train Your Dragon. But yeah, it's that's something that Hollywood has very much moved away from, is that, yeah, that like really big kind of bombastic orchestra, that sound. Um and there's a fair amount of like subtle piano cues too, like especially during
Yes.
like at night or like quieter scenes. It's a very well balanced score.
But you know what?
Um,
That's what really bums me out about this movie is it sounds great. I think it looks pretty good considering it's an all CGI film, excluding the dog. Um, I just think it's boring, and I don't think the CGI dog carries the movie because the whole time, I was watching it and I'm like, I always do this with movies I don't like. What would I change? Like, you can't just say you don't like it. What would you do differently? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, do you make the dog talk? Lean into this because it reminded me of like a Smurfs or an Alvin and the Chipmunks where the world is real but the animal is CGI. Very felt very much like that, and I'm like those movies work because the computer character can interact with the real people. And I think it was weird that they were treating him like a real dog, especially because he would listen to what the people were saying and sort of react like he understood. In the same way he interacted with the other dogs and didn't talk. So I'm like, should he talk? Would that be better? Um, I struggle to figure out what I would do differently. I guess it's just the fact that it's kind of a throwback film where you're following the dog from start to finish. It's really his story. And maybe if Harrison Ford had been along for more of the ride, I would have enjoyed it, but I don't know, it just didn't click for me.
hmm. Yeah. I was wondering through the movie. So his name is Buck, and his name remains Buck even when he goes to Alaska, right? But how do they know that's his name?
I That's a good question. I didn't pay
Because
enough
he
attention.
gets like kidnapped, right? He gets kidnapped by like the dog napper, basically, and the dog napper
Yes.
doesn't know that's his name, right? And the people in Alaska don't know but that he stays his name. He doesn't get like renamed. I'm pretty sure, right? Like
No, he's bucked through the movie.
he's Buck throughout the whole movie. Um, yeah, yeah. That was the part that was keeping me up at night. just wondering how did he keep that name? How did they know?
Just yelling at the TV.
Yeah.
Well,
Uh,
I think, yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, I think the part that sticks out for me the most, I really liked the part where he fights the other dog in the snow. Oh, or the part where they go through the ice. That was I like that. And
Yeah,
yeah, and he saves the lady. That was pretty cool. And I think that was like his second owner. Yeah, his
yeah,
second
that was
owner.
the mail delivery folks.
Yeah, who I think was like a French cab driver who they got
Yes.
to be in the movie. I guess. Um, I don't know. He was in a lot of like other French movies. And I couldn't really. I had to turn the subtitles on at that point. I couldn't quite understand what he was saying, but yeah, I mean, uh, that was a cool part. That was probably that was a great part for me. I liked also the part where he runs off with the wolf, and there's like the bear, and the bear is like confronting him. So we got a nice CGI bear in there too.
I did love the well-to-do wealthy folks who
Hmm.
purchase him after the mail carriers leave him. They were very over the top funny characters. It's one of the things about this movie is it's very segmented, which I didn't care for because you kind of have the opening act where he's in California with the judge. You're introduced to Buck. He goes on some funny adventures, eats all the food on the table, ha ha. Then there's the second act where he's with the mail carriers, he's on the sled for the first time, he's got to establish his dominance. There's sort of the third act where he's adopted by the the rich gold prospector guy who doesn't know what he's doing. There's kind of the fourth act where he's with Harrison Ford, and then there's like the fifth act where he falls in love with a wolf. It did feel a little, and maybe this is because I didn't read the book, but it did feel a little. I kind of wish they had stuck with one of those stories a little bit more and xed some of them out, because at the end of the day, I mean, the whole movie is his journey from being a house dog to the call of the wild, right? Being a wild dog and falling in love with a wolf, which is ridiculous. But I didn't, that story I did not care about. Maybe that's me. Maybe I don't have a heart, but I just did not give a shit. I liked the mail carriers. I thought they were interesting. I thought Harrison Ford was interesting. I did not care about Buck's journey over all these small stories. And I think that's really where I got lost.
Yeah, it was. I think I got what the film was trying to do. It was the transformation from like comfort and uh, what's the word? It's like complacency. It's like a transformation, like from like your world is shaken upside down, and it's an adaptation. It's all about like adapting to being too comfortable or too complacent in your environment, and we're all like animals deep down, I guess, and we have these primal instincts and urges that are muted by the comforts of society. And if we're in situations where we need them to come out, we can the strong ones of us can, like, I guess, tap into that. Maybe that was what they were getting at. Again, I also did not read the book, so um, but I'm sure Harrison Ford definitely, if he didn't read the book, he definitely loved the thematic approach that was going on. He loved. I think he loves that message. He's
I
really
think he
into
loved how
that.
many zeros were on his paycheck.
Yes, that too. It could buy him a lot of helicopter fuel for his
Yeah,
helicopter.
yes.
Probably a new helicopter. Um, but yeah, I mean, what else is there to say about that? I liked I don't I just like I liked the movie for what it was. Uh I liked the I didn't really care for the weird CG. That was definitely off putting in some places. Uh, I thought that in the beginning it was kind of fun, that little introduction with like the dogs walking, and then um, Buck jumps through like the newspaper, and scares the guy, and then he goes around, he licks ice. That was pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think they got around to doing they did a lot, they got their money's worth out of the CG.
My summation of this film is it's not a bad movie. I mean, Rotten Tomatoes scores it at a 63. Cinema Score gives it an A minus, Metacritic of 48 out of 100, so a little bit all over the place. It lost the studio about $50 to $100 million, but it's hard to tell how much of that was the pandemic and how much of that was people not seeing it. But at the end of the day, if you came to me and said, Sean, we're in 2020, we're going to make a Call of the Wild film with Harrison Ford, I think this is probably the best you're going to get. Like with the requirements given, I don't think it's a bad movie. I don't like it. It's not a movie for Sean. If someone was like, I have a kid and we're looking for something to watch and this was free on Netflix, I'd say watch it. It's not a bad movie. They'll enjoy it. But at the same time, has absolutely no appeal to me whatsoever. So and believe me, we've watched bad movies on the show before. This is not a bad movie. I would not call this a bad movie. I would call it an uninteresting movie that I will never watch again.
Did you know that Jack London, the author, I just looked him up. He was accused of plagiarism by a man named Egerton Ryerson Young, who claimed he took The Call of the Wild from his book, My Dogs in the Northland. London acknowledged using it as a source and claimed to have written a letter to Young thanking him. This dude made his own paper trail.
Wow.
Scandal.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of
I didn't.
his Wikipedia page is lengthy.
I did not know Jack London was this old. I thought he was he was active in according to this, he was active in like the kind of like the turn of the century, like late 19th century, early 20th. I thought he was like a modern author. I thought he was like an R.L. Stine, Jack London. I thought he was like possibly, I checked the Wikipedia page to see if he was still alive today. He is not. So I don't teach literature, everybody.
We're not judging you.
London was a passionate advocate of animal rights, workers' rights, and socialism.
Well, he also wrote what's essentially a companion novel to Call of the Wild called White Fang, which is also about a wild wolf dog in the Yukon during the Gold Rush. Never made a movie out of it, though. Oh, they did make a movie out of it in 2018 for Netflix. Do not remember that.
Yeah.
Was animated.
Didn't have Harrison Ford. They didn't get Harrison Ford to be a gruff outdoorsman.
I don't know who Dave Boat is, but
you know what scene I happen to remember it. When he's like panning for gold, and Buck finds like a giant gold nugget and then like puts it back, and then he gives him like the little small one. Where they were trying to make Buck kind of like a surrogate son for him, right? Because he like didn't, he like lost communication, or no, he lost his son. I think the son had died, and he and his wife were estranged.
But then again, for like every funny moment, like the gold nugget thing, then there was a massive eye roll moment, like when Harrison Ford goes to drink the booze and the dog like knocks it out of his hand because he's an alcoholic, and I'm like, come on, you know it would get a little heavy-handed at certain points.
Yeah.
At that point, I was like, then the dog should just talk. Like at that point, just get the dog involved.
I was waiting the whole movie. I was just waiting for him to talk.
It would be funny if they waited until like the last 5 minutes to be like, yeah, I could talk the whole time.
And that's a wrap, folks.
And that's see you next time.
Do you know his name was Jack Thornton?
But that's I just I don't know a lot of kids. I'm not really a kid expert, but I'm like, would a kid find this entertaining? I really don't. We got to talk to somebody we know who has kids of an age where they might enjoy this, because I have no. If I were a young kid, I don't know if I would find it cute or if I would find it boring because it's not funny or interesting. It's not Minions enough.
Yeah, this really appealed to us when we were kids, like our generation as
If
kids.
this were a VHS tape in 1996, oh my god, we would have been all over it.
Yes, this would have been very like the hottest, most rented movie at Blockbuster for sure.
I mean, Homeward Bound. Were you a big Homeward Bound kid?
No, never saw
Do you remember that movie?
I do remember a lot of the like ads surrounding it and the marketing, but I never saw it.
It's sort of similar.
Yeah.
Three pets get lost and they have to travel across the country to find their family, and that was a big kids movie. Saw that one a lot. I believe they talk in that one.
Michael J. Fox as Chance.
There you go.
Yeah, he's in that. So I remember that was like a live action kind of movie, but it was like they voice over the dog, each of the dogs. Yeah, yeah. I definitely remember the marketing for this. Yeah, it was everywhere.
Did you know that the same guy? See, this is why Wikipedia is incredible. Do you know that the guy who directed Snakes on a Plane and Final Destination also directed Homeward Bound 2: Lost in San Francisco?
Wow, would have never guessed. What a connection.
A very odd
6
career.
degrees of separation we've got here. The dog sledding genre was really big in the 90s, huh?
Yes.
We got that this book.
Snow Dogs.
What precipitates that? I would really love to unpack that with you.
Mushing films. There's a whole Wikipedia page for this.
This was a whole rash of movies that I remember, like Balto, Snow Dogs, Snow Dogs 2.
Eight Below.
Yeah. Snow Dogs came out in 2002. Balto came out in 95, so I guess there is a little bit of time between them. But Kevin Bacon was in Balto. He was the voice of Balto. There were some other. I remember this was like a big thing. I don't know. Cool Runnings.
Sure.
That was about a Jamaican bobsled team, but not about like a dog. Let's see, like dog sled movies. Yeah, there's a bunch of these, and a lot of them. I think a lot of them came out in like the late '90s, early 2000s. This was just this was a vibe.
I can't believe they never made a Snow Dog sequel. Even just straight to DVD. That seems like a no-brainer.
Starring Cuba Gooding Jr.
That's right.
Why do I still remember that? I didn't even have to click to know that movie starred Cuba Gooding Jr.
Well, it's obviously the most iconic film of his career. What other film would you even know him from?
Air Bud?
Oh, Pet's doing sports. Now we're talking.
Yeah. I don't even know. I made that up. Is he actually in Air Bud?
Cuba Gooding Jr.? No, he's not in Air Bud. No, he was in Rat Race.
Of course he was. Oh wow, one of the oh no. I one of the don't look up what was Cuba Gooding Jr. accused of doing.
I am aware.
Oh my. Okay. Did not know about that. Did not know about those allegations. Okay. So that explains maybe why he's not in too many movies anymore.
No.
No. His last movie that was he was in Selma 2014.
Yeah,
he played O.J. Simpson in the O.J. Simpson drama 2016.
I'm going to give him he got the Emmy nom for that. He was great. Yeah. You ever watch that?
You know, I didn't. I
Oh,
should.
it's fantastic.
I
I
should
can't
go back
recommend it
and
enough.
check that out.
Where David Schwimmer plays Robert Kardashian. So
Yeah,
funny.
I
It's
should.
great.
I should go back and look at that. Uh,
Um,
yeah.
any other thoughts on Call of the Wild, Matt?
How do we close this out? Call of the Wild. Any other thoughts?
It is a movie.
Um,
We did watch it.
should have been a blooper reel. How about that? A
You
blooper
know, they
reel
don't
during the
remember when
credits.
like
They don't do
Pixar
them
used to do
anymore.
blooper reels
Yeah, yeah,
when they
yeah.
didn't have to because they were scripted
It's
and
all
made up. Like,
animated.
yeah, they should
Yeah,
have.
that was
Yeah.
like Toy Story 2 had a blooper reel. I'm pretty sure. I missed that. There was something charming about that. Um, how would you rank this movie
On our Harrison
on
Ford
our Harrison
scale,
Ford scale? One last time, the Harrison Ford scale, patent pending, goes from a Harrison 4 all the way down to the depths for to I have a bad feeling about this, or I'm in this for the money, which is a 0.
I think what's two?
2 is laugh it up, fuzzball.
Laugh it off. I might rank the movie overall somewhere between I'm doing this for the money and laugh it up, fuzzball. Like, it's definitely on the back half of the scale. Ford's performance uh probably belongs in a museum.
Yeah, so that's an important distinction that we only got to getting to like last episode, where we were starting to rank the movies themselves on this patented Ford scale, and I think we got away from ranking Ford as the actor, because this is the summer of Ford uh, that we've been partaking in, and so I would say, with that in mind, I'm going to put this movie um, as it belongs in a museum. I'm going to say Ford is a Harrison 4 in this, because I think he is the truest form of Ford. He is the happiest, and he is also at peace with the nature, and with the whiskey. So there we go, a Harrison 4. I bet he secretly wished that dog was real throughout the movie, even
I don't
though it was
know. Maybe
probably
he's so
just some
old he
guy.
thought the dog was real.
I mean, not so secretly, because it was just a guy in a mocap suit crawling around and jumping. So
Yes,
he probably wished it was a real dog.
that must
Um,
have been. God, I'm gonna while we're talking, I'm gonna see if there's any behind the scenes
oh, I
footage
hope
because I'm
so.
sure it's very amusing.
I hope so. There's got to be. Put it in the Slack if you find it. That would be worth the watch.
Oh, there's a whole featurette where they have dogs in mocap suits and the mocap guy in. Okay, I'm sorry. I want to share the screen. This is pretty great.
Do it.
There won't be any audio, so unfortunately, the audio listeners won't enjoy it. But at least Matt can get a kick out of it.
Oh my god.
So it's Matt. You want to describe what we're seeing?
All about Buck featurette. So it's a man in a yep. He has the mocap suit on. He is crawling around like a dog, and he's holding it like his arms, because he's on all fours. His arms are like the front feet of the dog, and he has them on like almost like mini stilts. And he's crawling around. Oh, and he's even carrying the letter in his mouth. This is great.
Oh, let's
Yeah,
see if I can skip
this is
a.
great. Oh, he's going okay. This is the part where he goes to the
Talking
window,
talking to Bradley there.
talking to the judge.
But I do. They had a second video I may have to backtrack to. The video here. This is dogs in mocap suits.
I want to rewatch this whole movie now, knowing that this was a guy in a mocap, and I want to see just Harrison Ford. Imagine him talk to this man.
So we're watching them. They're shooting dogs playing with each other. Very cute dogs, but they strapped on those mocap suits with all the bubbles all over them and even glued a few to their heads so they could track the motion of the dog.
I want to see the scene where he invites Buck into his tent,
Yeah, they snuggle next
but
to
it's
each
actually a
other.
guy and they snuggle next to each other. I want to see how
In the
fast
mocap
after
suit.
they yell cut, how fast does Harrison Ford kick him
Get
out of that
off of
tent?
me. This is great stuff. Oh, look at this. They put a dog in boots to sort of, and there's the pre and then the
Yeah,
final animation.
because he's never been in snow before. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is wild stuff. And they got people petting the dogs wearing the mocap suits. Wow.
The dogs do not look amused.
A
They're
technological
running
marvel.
around. Yeah,
Incredible.
magic of film.
Well, Matt, that wraps up Cherry Coke Summer.
That's it. Yep, the last of the
Can you
cherry
believe it?
Coke
We made
has
it.
has been consumed.
Was refreshing.
Refreshing indeed. And now we're on to fall.
Yes,
We're
Matt.
on
What does
to
fall
month of-
have in store for us?
The month of Sean coming up,
No,
right?
maybe.
We've got Sean Vember, or Sean Tober, we've got a book club. We still have to do our books for our book club or summer
Yeah,
reading.
we might do that next week.
Yeah, summer reading books. I think is going to be reading recap. We've got a bunch of other fall stuff in store. We usually have some fall themed episodes. I was looking forward to or considering possibly going to the Big E, and I was going to talk to you about that after the show, but as I understand it, we lost one of our big draws to the Big E. We lost the Smash Mouth himself.
He's shrekking up in heaven.
Yes, and I won't get to see him perform at the Big E ever again.
It's not the same, but Jimmy Eat World will be there eating the world.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get a collab. Maybe Jimmy Eat World will cover some Smash Mouth songs.
Well, and you can see. I'm going to look up the date. The National Cheeseburger Eating Contest happens at the Big E, so you might be able to come and watch Joey Chestnut put down an irresponsible amount of cheeseburgers.
Sounds like fun.
It is
Sounds like
an
a
option.
good time.
Well, that's great, Matt. Listen, we got great stuff coming up. We've only just begun, but that does wrap up our Cherry Coke Summer. Thanks, everybody, for joining us through the summer of Harrison Ford. We hope you learned a lot about the man, the legend himself. If you haven't listened to our past movie episodes, you should definitely go check that out. It's pretty sweet.
Oh, wait. Wait.
Yes.
Wait.
What?
I forgot the Harrison Ford fun fact.
Oh, no.
We can't end without a fun fact. This is the last episode.
We still have time.
We've done a fun fact every episode.
I don't think that's true.
Damn it. All right, really quick. I'm going to frantically Google a fun fact from Harrison Ford's repertoire.
Well, I'll give you a minute, Matt. So people should go to the website, upfordebate.tv, check out all the episodes in the archive. You can also subscribe wherever you get podcasts. Just look for our purple icon, and the video version is on YouTube as well if you want to see people acting like dogs in CGI suits. Was that enough time, Matt?
No.
Okay, you can also follow us online at Up for Debate TV on X. You can also email us, upfordebatetv@gmail.com. If you like technology or fun discussion, you can check out our sister show, Don't Panic, at don'tpanic.io. We've switched to a new format where each week we are talking about a subject brought by each host. Last week we talked about life in Antarctica. The week before that, we ranked the last decade in terms of what years was the best for technology. The year before that, the episode before that, we talked about weird pet gadgets. So a lot of fun going on there. You're definitely going to check it out at don'tpanic.io, wherever you get podcasts. Look for that big red button. How about now, Matt?
All right, I'm all set.
He's got it.
Here's the most interesting fact that I found as I scoured through these. The most interesting fact is: do you know, according to a 2014 Reddit AMA, what is the actor's most quoted line? Like line that people most ask him to say when they meet him in person. Like, fans will always abuse actors this way, like by asking them to say their favorite line when they get an autograph or meet him on the street or something. And what does he often be asked to say? What do you think it is?
How many guesses do I get?
It is.
Is it get off my damn plane?
I can't hear you anymore, Sean.
Where'd you go? Oh, my mic suddenly isn't working. Hello?
The line. Nope, still nothing. The line. All right, I will wrap it up for on behalf of Sean. The line that he is most asked to quote is from a movie that we did not watch. It's from Air Force One. Get off my plane. That was your guess. Sean's indicating that was his guess. And on behalf of Sean, I'm Matt, and this was Up for Debate.